Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hot Mic Show. I'm the co-host, Austen Alexander. This is your host, Sarah. Today, we're going to be talking about, or Sarah's going to be talking about how to become a travel nurse.
Dun, dun, dun.
2 days ago, I made a video about how to join the military and what happens at boot camp and the aid school. Now, Sarah's going to be talking about becoming a travel nurse. For those of you out there who are wanting more information about how to become a travel nurse.
Or what is a travel nurse? I feel like I get that question a lot.
Yeah, or what is a travel nurse? Go ahead.
Okay, so let's explain the logistics.
Man.
What is a travel nurse? Basically, you are a nurse and you work on a contract. So you go and work at a hospital for a certain amount of weeks and you do like a certain amount of hours. So the example would be you work 3 12s for 6 weeks, and that's kind of how it works. And that's your contract with that hospital. Typically, you have to have experience before you become a travel nurse. Like a new grad just can't go be a travel nurse. That's ridiculous. Because you have to be really flexible, able to adapt. You have to be quick to learn, because when you obviously go into a hospital and become a nurse, it takes a little bit just to learn the system, and then you gotta leave and go to the next place, basically. So with that being said, they usually recommend 1 to 2 years in whatever specialty you are. Critical care, emergency department, med surg, telemetry.
Telemetry? What's telemetry?
It's like the heart floor, like the patients, like they need to be on a monitor.
Oh.
Typically, when you graduate as a new grad, you do that for at least a couple years. Then from there, you can become a travel nurse. What I did is I quit my job and I actually moved across the country with my best friend and got a contract in Reno, Nevada.
Where you met me.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So some people do like local travel contracts. You have to live within a certain amount of distance from that hospital to be considered a traveler. So like if you use an address that you live at and you live down the street, you can't be considered a traveler. And the main thing with travelers is they give you a good amount of money a week for housing and food that is non-taxable. And then they pay you hourly.
So that's where you get the bulk of your money.
Yeah. So hourly, you make, like maybe as a nurse, you make $40 an hour. But in a travel contract, as a nurse, you make $20 an hour. And they put more in the housing allowance because that housing gets more money paid. Right now, obviously with COVID and everything going on, travel contracts are high. Like people are making like
$4,000 a week.
$6,000 a week.
$6,000 a week. You could work 4 weeks and then be done for the whole year.
Yeah. However, there's a lot of things with travel nursing. There's obviously pros and cons to both, and we can go into that more. But the basic thing with travel nursing is that some people do it while they still have a job, which is just very hard. You'd have to work like 3. There are travel contracts. It's just kind of like whatever you want to put in your contract. When you're a traveler, or we call them travelers. We call them travelers at work. If you're a traveler, you have to be really flexible. You have to be willing to adapt. You have to be willing that they're gonna change your assignment. They're gonna change your shift. You're gonna move to a different floor. Like you have to just be willing to like go with the flow. So I think that's probably one of the first things I would say. If you want to be a traveler, you have to be willing to like float. Like don't be like, oh, I gotta leave the floor. Oh, I have to go work there. Like you will get flipped at any moment. And also things can happen so quickly. You can sign a contract, be like, okay, I got a job. And literally an hour later, they can say, oh, never mind, we don't need you anymore. So you are taking a lot of risks when you become a travel nurse. Right now with COVID, I feel like that's not that big of a thing.
So when they give you a contract like 4 weeks through, they can be like, oh, no, never mind, we don't need you anymore.
Exactly.
And so it just can like leave you out in the open.
Like my one really good friend, she took a contract, she signed it. She was in Texas, and then she was on her way to come to California. During her drive across the country, they canceled her contract. And she's like, well, what do I do now? Do I go to California? Do I just stay here in the middle of nowhere? Like, she was like, I don't know what to do. So there's a lot of different things that can happen when like you're a traveler. Your job can be in limbo a lot of the time. Right now, I feel like that's not the case, but what happens is a lot of travelers they'll work for like 6 months and then they'll take 6 months off and they won't work for those 6 months. So a lot of people like to do that. Some travel contracts are 4 12s a week. Some are nights, some are days, some are switch every 2 weeks. Like it just depends. But basically there's agencies out there that you can work with. You go through those agencies, if that makes sense. Like you'll be like, okay, agency X, and they'll show you, we have jobs at these hospitals in these countries and this is how much the rates are. But there's like a zillion agencies out there all trying to make money from travel nursing putting on there. Does that help make sense?
Yeah, good for me.
Why is it good for you?
I mean, I don't know. I guess you explained it well. You know, we just have a few questions in the comments that we'd like to make separate videos about every once in a while?
Yeah, so the one was travel nurse, like actually what it is. Or a lot of people are like, oh, you should be a travel nurse. So I was a travel nurse already. That's how I met Austen in Reno, Nevada.
I was like, what's up, girl? She's like, ooh, you're cute.
Okay, anyways, but that's how I met Austen. And then I moved to California. I did a couple of travel contracts here. But because I was going back to school, it was just better for me to get a full-time job because, again, as a traveler, your job is very like up in limbo. You don't know if you're gonna have a job tomorrow. Everything's kind of like as by ear. So you have to be really flexible, willing. But it's good too at the same time. Like I would recommend anyone to travel nurse because it was so many great experiences. If you can do it, definitely do it. I feel like this is too serious.
Now imagine having to do that without the high pay. That's the military.
That's really true. Without the high pay. That's why it's like an incentive to do it.
Well, sounds good to me. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Hot Mic Show. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Let us know if there's any other topics you would like us to talk about or any specific questions you guys have. Don't forget to shoot us an email at Sara@Austen, AUSTEN, Alexander.com. We'll go on there. We will answer any questions you guys have. And then don't forget to give a video a thumbs up and subscribe. It really means so much to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sara and Austen signing out. I have to do it first that time.
Signing out. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Hot Mic Show. If you want to catch more Hot Mic episodes, you can click the link to my left. Or if you want to subscribe, you can click the link below that link. Thanks again. See you in the next episode.